you're Steady PuP and Pulse PuP's your project, right?
Yeah, that's me.
So tell us a little bit about what is Pulse PuP exactly?
Well, I've kind of found that I kind of want to be some kind of an educator. I do like to teach people how the whole system kind of works. And the best way I kind of found it was to create a token to get people's curiosity and then to ask questions and then to learn how to be a better, a better degen, as you would say, or a better investor. Just to, learn safety, but also learn the mathematics and how the whole thing works. And I think that the coin kind of highlights certain aspects of how things work. So then people get curious and they start asking questions, and I can kind of educate through that, which I found really interesting.
Oh, okay. So it's a purpose-built vehicle for educating um, newcomers, if you like, on some of the more complex or mathematical
Yeah.
aspects.
Yeah, it's fairly complex. If you're new to crypto, you don't will probably won't understand anything, and that's okay too. I've also just kind of, if you hold this coin, it kind of exposes you to different higher risk strategies. It's kind of like an ETF. So if you buy this, you're kind of exposed to 100 or 150 other coins, including Good Day. So it just kind of, if Good Day does really well, then it's going to help Pulse Pup. And if Pulse Pup does really well, then it's going to help Good Day. So it's kind of a collaborative experience. So people can kind of come in and, oh, I want to be exposed to all these other meme coins or degen plays. Then I could just buy this one coin and it kind of exposes to the volatility, and including just the main ones like Pulse and Pulse X and Ink. Those are all also exposed to like a higher level. And then Good Day, for example, would be on maybe number 60 or 65 comparatively of exposure.
Right, okay. And this is part. I saw you've written, or you. I saw your talk with coexistence, and you had this map up, and you were talking about the a is it atropa or atropa? Is that an ecosystem within an ecosystem? And how does atropa play a role in this?
Well, Atropa is like a really, really interesting one to dive into. Like, I don't think it's really been done in other blockchains, so it's kind of a intriguing thing. Um, it was kind of a mysterious developer that started a whole ecosystem. So now he personally probably has about 150 tokens that he's created. But I would kind of consider it as a liquidity web. Um, so he's the same developer as Teddy Bear and some other ones that people kind of really know and love, some memes. But he has like so many tokens and they kind of all complement each other, like a root system. So people kind of buy the top coins like Atropa or Teddy Bear or even PDAI, and that feeds down the liquidity into all the tokens. And there's these sub communities within the Atropa ecosystem, but the Atropa is kind of like the daddy coin, the dad, and then it kind of supports the rest. So I kind of see it as a root system. As you can see on the map, it was kind of like a little bit. That was only a small map that I've made. There's a lot larger one that I use personally to find different paths to different communities, but it's interesting because the main concept that people kind of have to see for that map is that sometimes to get to a certain token, you have to purchase one token and then you have to go to another, and then to another. So it's kind of almost like a video game where you would be like going through different rooms to get to a certain target or a different some kind of a maze or like a platform Zelda game where you're going through different doors to get to that target.
Okay, and I guess that's intentional. That's by design.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure of like his full scope of planning because he is honestly quite a brilliant, misunderstood mind, a very complex behavior. and kind of above his league. So it's kind of hard to understand his thoughts or what he actually really is truly wanting to do. We can only speculate, really.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And so, I'm starting to familiarize myself with some of the terminology here, and I'm assuming that both what you have with Pulse PuP and I guess to a degree with a Tropa and perhaps the larger ecosystem of which I find myself in, which is the Pulse ecosystem, generally speaking, I've become aware of automated market maker bots and this term liquidity bonded amplification. Are those connected? Like, are they playing a fundamental role in these systems that are, passing value amongst these various tokens? Am I along the right path there in my thinking?
Yeah. So technically, if I take PulsePup as an example, I don't really need any human investor to buy or sell this token because of these bots that you're talking about. They're constantly rebalancing charts through other tokens performing well or not so well. It's not always positive.
Mm.
And basically, that constant rebalancing is injecting capital within Pulse PuP with a certain other few little things that made it so it moves really well. But the main fundamentals behind it is this bot interaction that you are talking about. Similar to Good Day's LP connection to HOA. Um, there was a large HOA pump. They were doing really, really well within their chart, and the large LP connection to Good Day allowed for a lot of that arbitrage and AMM bots to inject a lot of capital within the Good Day connection because Good Day, as a token, technically owns a lot of HOA, which then increases the price of the liquidity pool, injecting more price into the token.
Okay, so this sounds like this must be what to the GUI fella refers to when he talks about the infinite money glitch, because that sounds like a glitch almost, or a self-serving system. I mean,
Yes.
think about where the capital is, how the capital. Yeah, I mean that's beyond my pay grade, but perhaps you could
Yeah.
clarify
So
there.
yeah, you can call it a bit of a loophole or I wouldn't say it's a glitch because it is an inherent DeFi, decentralized finance method of trading. So that's kind of how the whole system balances itself. They always want to remain one-to-one dollar value within an LP. So it's kind of an inherent way of how the system works. So it's kind of understanding that, and then we kind of found a way to tag along type of thing. We're tagging along with the upper and downward movement of Pulse Chain, and me as a founder will be um, directly positioning myself how I see it fit. So if I think Pulse will do really well, I'll pair more with Pulse. But if I do think that Good Days will do well, then I'll pair more with Good Days. So there's a lot of active management there and which communities I want to ride with. But yeah, there is a bit of a loophole slash I don't want to call it leeching because um we are getting to a point we're a big player now. We're getting close to 1 million market cap. So for Pulse Chain meme coin, that's not too bad. And then we're going to be starting to move a lot of these smaller communities with us. We're getting to a point where, we'll be we'll still be like taking from Pulse Chain movement, but we're then giving to all these smaller roots. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds a little bit like a righteous venture actually. You're essentially repositioning capital that already exists in some of the bigger or the more established coins, and somehow through this bot activity, you're redistributing some of this capital, which in it, as these smaller players receive or are benefiting from more of this capital coming in, it's also signaling to others to also bring more capital in, so that it's sort of self perpetuating in a sense. Is that what's
Yes.
happening?
Yeah, in some ways, what I do want to show is that, if people see a green chart, like PuP is very green right now. It's been going really well. So the more people are going to be asking questions. And one thing I really want to highlight is the fact that I haven't really seen this type of collaboration within a blockchain before. So the collaboration aspect is I want to encourage people to first obviously understand what liquidity does, and because there's positives and negatives towards liquidity, but I want people to start thinking about how can I, as a community member, encourage this project and basically either connect it to a project that I really, really, truly believe in and it'll perform well, and drive more volume through this LP pair, giving it life. So you're basically expanding a doorway to into the token. So I just see it as a massive collaboration effort on Pulse Chain, especially in this subculture niche that I'm in, is that everybody's kind of interacting with each other, um, learning and also collaborating. So if let's say there was a developer that I truly believe in and we exchange information and we start talking, he's got a new coin, I believe in him, then maybe we exchange, he gives me maybe 1% of his supply, and then I maybe give him 1% of my supply or whatever ratio that dollar worth is. And then we could pair together and then we burn that contract where that can never be withdrawn. So that's the ultimate collaboration, is that if you pair up and you burn the contract, it now means that we're going to be moving together at a certain ratio forever, as long as there's a pulse chain movement and volume.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't become, I only became aware some months in that there was so many, there was a number of other li liquidity pairs with G'day. I was only familiar with the HOA and then the PLS, but then there was like 11 or something, so I wasn't aware that people could just create them themselves, which I assume that's what happened with Pulse PuP and G'day. Um, you were able to, well, you bought up some G'day, I guess, and created it yourself. Um, in doing that, I've been looking there and I'm thinking, okay, if I've created these pools, who's created these? And it kind of led me to reach out to yourself as well to try to understand a little bit about what your thinking there was, in terms of, yeah. But I mean, you've kind of explained it to a certain extent through this collaborative effort. But honestly, when I look at what sort of applications or utilities are being applied to some of these other tokens on Pulse Chain, I'm getting a little bit confused, and I'm not entirely sure where G'day fits into this ecosystem. Do you know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah,
curious what you were thinking when you kind of, like, I assume you created the pair.
yeah, I did. So for me, in my case, which is different than other tokens, which is what's happened is good. What's good that's happening with mine is that up or down, my token will start thriving. So any type of volume, up or down, the mathematically will work in the long term. It creates a deflationary aspect. So it starts burning pulse PuP every dollar that goes through. So I can take a bit more risks on pairing with certain tokens that are up and coming, and they might take a big fall, and then PuP acts as a buffer, and it'll take PuP down with it to a certain extent, not too much, but basically it's an act of trust on my end of I think Good Day will do well. Tom does really good um, uh, content, and he's hilarious. So I think maybe there's an up and coming movement, and I think more people should be able to see this guy or this token. So then I will encourage by increasing liquidity with it. And by me doing the 10x will also give volume to you. And I think this will help bring your token up. And then if you do really well, then you'll give that back mathematically at the end of the day. And then, a third of the tokens I pair with maybe will be taken from me in some ways, but that's okay because it's like a symbiotic relationship between the whole ecosystem. And the more volume that runs through me, the better. So as far as you, yeah, I connected. I got in quite early with you with your token, and saw the potential. So then I just, maybe when I first started, it was at maybe it was only a few $100. Maybe it's a couple grand now or something like that. So it's just how it goes. It just increases with time, and it increases because the both projects are growing right now.
Yeah, it's really, really fascinating to see, and to be part of as well. There's a lot. I think I've learned more in the last 6 months than I have in the previous few years in the crypto land, and I feel like I'm getting in quite deep now in terms of my comprehension of what exactly happens in this crypto economy. And I think what you've done and what the Tengang have done, coming, when they approached and said, let's set up the G'day and everything, has been, really just super fascinating. And I can't help but feel grateful that there's, good people in this space that are willing to sort of take you by the hand and help guide you through what is the equivalent to some sort of financial alchemy that I don't know if it exists in the regular economy, but I assume it does because everything I've seen in crypto is just the regular economy, but on steroids. Everything moves just a lot faster, and obviously the accessibility that anybody can kickstart a project really. Um, when it comes to community, and these types of projects are extremely, well, they take on a kind of grassroots effect, and you know I'm seeing a lot of discussions about the VCs entering the space, or wanting to get in on the meme coin craze and what have you. How do you see their role going forward? Because you obviously can't, because there's such pseudonymity or anonymity in the space, you can't really tell if you're in the room with an asset manager that's been in the game for 40 years or another teenager from Korea or whatever. Do you think the VCs are going to adapt or are going to be disregarded entirely? How do you see that, community capital versus VC capital in the space?
Well, I think it's almost impossible to avoid VC space to coming in, and it's already pretty apparent in many other blockchains that they're there. Um, I try to they're obviously needed as well for large capital to come in and for mainstream adoption, regulation and stuff like that. But I'm pretty cautious around that. The last cycle, I definitely feel like they definitely took advantage of a lot of projects. They get a large allocation and then they don't really see the community behind the token. They'll just invest in it because, they were able to get in early in a pre-sale VC only type of thing. So what I'm seeing on Pulse Chain is really one of the first communities that I've seen step up in providing large amounts of money and liquidity. So you're basically putting your asset somewhat at risk to allow trade within it. And as far as I know, we're probably pretty limited as far as VCs on Pulse Chain. We're pretty gate kept, and I don't think a lot of the bigger players like to play nice with VCs, and we kind of have a bad taste in our mouths, a lot of us in our community. And at the end of the day, it feels like uh, crypto can be a bit of um, a rough space for like, it can be a little bit cutthroat. And to me, as a VC, I see them just being a very, very large entity that is also very cutthroat. So, but that's kind of my opinion. I'm not like specialized in VC or anything. It's kind of just my own opinion and perception around institutional money and bigger players. But like I said, like you said earlier, is that I really like the fact that that you were able to be integrated in the ecosystem, and back you said that there was a bit of a taking a hand and taking an educational purpose and like, hey, well, I'll help you out with this. And that's what community is for. And I don't really see VCs doing that. It's more like they're more there, they got a big position, and then move on to the next one. But that's just my perception.
Yeah, there's a lot of, excuse me, sorry, I have a little bit of a cold at the moment. There's a little bit of this is what's so fascinating about the entire space is that there is, you often see a joke. I think it might have been coexistence was called a communist the other day or something. But you get all the extremities in crypto, right? But at the end of the day, it does seem like the token or whatever ecosystem of coins that all have their various functions and uh, you know reasons for existing in this space. They make me think we've we've sort of integrated our economic behavior into the language that we're using in this space, and it makes me think, oh, you know, when when the language is sort of transactional, financial in that regard, do we risk losing potentially over time, like some of those more, human qualities that we have, or does it maybe enhance enhance them? Because obviously you've got this whole game theory stuff going on as well, where everybody's almost trying to second guess each other through these various partnerships or what have you, because obviously there's a lot of risk involved. So I just wonder how you think about the various philosophies that exist in the space and how they might evolve going forward.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we are going towards a better direction. Um, there's a sense of I think what I've tapped into other years when there's a sense of a bit of loneliness or of being alone on your computer and not really viewing a green candle that you're selling as someone else having a loss because there is a transactional behavior around, wins and losses. A green chart that is now a lot of profit taking means someone else, lost. So I think we're getting closer to being more humanizing within crypto. But there is a lot of like keyboard warriors or keyboard trolls that really feel insulated in their room and protected by being in a screen and really do cause a lot of damage within ecosystems. Sniper bots, all kinds of predatory bots to capitalize on human behavior. Um,
Sniper
so
bot. Is that the ones that front run transactions, or what was that called? Flash loans. Well, there was some stuff about bots front running.
yeah, there's all kinds of different bots. That's why there's so many. A sniper bot in itself would be um, a bot detecting liquidity being added to a token right at the launch. So within the first second, it would buy as much of the token as possible,
Gotcha.
uh, not allowing for humans to organically discover it, or if a human knew about the token that was going to be launched, the bot would be buying a lot before the community, and then it would have would be selling down on the community buying up right away. Just and then they have no actual connection to the token or really don't care about it. It's just another contract. Um, but I do think that Pulse Chain and I mean other chains are doing really good community wise, but I do think that I've seen since the launch of Pulse Chain actually there has been an increase in my perception anyways. I've seen an increase in collaboration and in less toxic behavior between the actual chat rooms and communities. We almost know each other, or we know 100 or 200 different community members or more, and we're like, oh, that's kind of we're kind of family, or we're kind of we're doing the same goals, and I do think there's a little bit less competition, and there's still communities that do weird marketing, shock marketing around trying to bring other communities down, and I'm not like that. I'm more of a I'll be slow growth, and I'll make friends while I'm growing because I wouldn't choose to live my life in that way to make a couple bucks more here and there. Um, I do have values, and I do think we'll succeed really well, but with values held.
It makes sense. And yeah, it's spotting those people over time that actually maintain their values, and yeah, you're looking for action over words really often. Um, so you're my 10th interview, which I think is a good round number to yeah put together put together a doco now, especially given this more mathematical technical angle that you've provided me. Um, I think it's going going forward with the Good Day token. I've done a lot of reading, and I've looked at a lot of other things that are going on in the marketplace in terms of solutions. But I keep coming back to this thing that Somi, my friend Somi, a fellow Australian,
Yeah, I
um,
know.
he said, just don't do anything. You don't need to do anything. Don't do anything. It's a meme coin. And if I looked at a lot of other meme coins. You go to their website and they just they have a bit of fun with it. They don't make any promises. There's nothing. It's just a meme coin. And for me, that's fine, but it also feels a little bit like missed opportunity to a certain degree as well. Because what what's propping up many of the meme coins is the what seems to be the kind of well, I assume it's this liquidity that just sort of goes round and round and round inside, keeps everybody kind of happy. I'm thinking of PuP, for example. There's 150,000 holders there, it doesn't seem like a lot to me for what I think is the biggest meme coin on Ethereum, at least. What do you think? Do you think I should just let it ride as it is, or should I, explore some of these ideas that I have for, the in-game, not in-game currency, but in film, something, some functionality to it to create another dimension or a purpose outside of the meme? I don't know.
Well, I'll give you my thoughts on it. You can do what you feel is right for you. And basically, how I see it is that you can just, close your computer now and there will be price movement if you're there or not because you're connected to certain tokens. Um, the inherent thought of like a meme coin and how the reality is that the team has to keep grinding and grinding and grinding to keep attention onto this token. And that is it's a weird aspect of how it is. It's like my token does nothing and you should buy it. It's an interesting one. We have a great community, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it might not have anything. And it's just like We're just going to be grinding until something happens, and holders are going to hold, and developers are going to find this new miraculous thing that's going to keep people interested. But only reason I started my token, you can call it a meme token, but it has the mathematical aspect that it's just going to go up and down with the whole ecosystem. That's the only reason why I wanted to do it, because I did not want to be continuously pushing an old dog along. I could close my laptop and then come back in a year, and it will most likely be positive if Pulse Chain does well. It'll do really well if Pulse Chain does well. It would be great because it's currently outperforming Pulse. But as a human, am I the type of person to close my screen and go when there's an immense opportunity on Pulse Chain within a potential bull market coming? And for me, my answer is to keep pushing and keep growing, keep expanding, keep learning as a developer. And to me, what I would say to you is that good day. It has a great connection with HOA and a few other ones at a small level, but it is not quite mathematically at a point where it's gonna um, just be on autopilot, let's just call it. It'll do something while you're away, but it won't be quite as technically calculated as, let's say, mine. So I wouldn't recommend as much Good Day to be on autopilot. And I also think that you have a lot to share to the world. And I think that our chain slash crypto needs people like you to create content that's a little bit more on the mainstream side, and to represent certain, personalities within the space, certain thoughts within the space. And you're getting more of an understanding and more connections within crypto. I think it's a really interesting world, so I think it should be shared. But yeah, that's kind of my answer, is like you can choose to shut it down and let it grow and do its thing. But also, I think you have really nice things to share. And that's really important. We can't just all have like math heads or nerds. Then it'll never be like shown on a screen. It's just going to be individuals doing their thing in their room.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I think again it comes back to opportunity. There's whether right or wrong, I think it's important for me to keep sort of pushing ideas or throwing shit at the wall, if only to learn first. And if something sticks, or because obviously there is like when you say mathematically, for me it sounds like you're sort of referencing the way that the bots are shifting capital amongst the various assets in the ETF that you've created to provide this to win whether it goes up or down. Is that fair enough? Is that about right?
Yeah, we're going to be doing the same thing, but mine is tuned with
Yeah.
a tax and something else to actually allow for it to compound more, and then over time it'll compound a lot quicker than other tokens, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's basically more of a fine-tuned machine, which um, will do the same thing, but it's just like a different pace technically.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of projects, we just burnt $20 million worth of tokens, etc., etc. And it makes me think, well, should I try some of that? I haven't even done any airdrops or anything like that. I haven't given anything away. You know, I haven't really started to play with it just yet because I feel I don't, kind of, well, I don't want to mess things up just yet. So once I've built a bit more confidence, I'll try some stuff maybe. But I can't also, I can't go out there making promises if it's going to do this, that, and the other. We've seen that play out a number of times with previous projects, right? Where are they now? In the toilet. So
Yeah.
steady PuP, like slow but steady. I think we're on the same wave there, to be honest. So I want to just give there's 3 minutes left on this Zoom call, and then we'll get cut off. But if you want to give a message to uh, new people coming in, new people are looking here and they're coming and they're trying to understand it. Let's give us like a message for those people.
Yeah. Well, so I've been in crypto for a long time. I often play in different alternative realms, places where people aren't there before as much. It's like I like to play where there's a lot of developing factors. And I kind of took a break, but now with Pulse Chain here now, I've actually gotten my love back for finances or DeFi, like decentralized finance, all those games that I used to play. I'm now really, really back in and really invigorated my love for learning again. So it kind of gave me purpose again, which feels really good. So what I want to say is that there is a lot of complexity on this side. You can just buy some tokens on the surface, but there is a lot going on in the background. And I see complexity as opportunity, which I've been saying recently. If people don't understand, is like, well, let's put some time into understanding, and that brings opportunities. So that's kind of where I'm at, is like I love playing with more alternative things, more things that people don't understand, and that puts me in a place of maybe being at the forefront of movement and learning a lot. And that's what makes me get up in the morning and hop on the Pulse chain and the community, is just really know that we're doing something really cool here. That's can't really be done in Ethereum because it's a lot cheaper here. We can do all these crazy strategies. But yeah, that's maybe my thing. It's just like, you know, there's a lot to learn, and yeah, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Right on. Well, I will let you go. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, mate.